throwing tantrums and whatnot. Jax we talked about, very versatile character. Darius we also talked about. Kha'Zix also kind of that assassin type. Rengar this time was not banned, but Ezreal getting picked up right away. Now Ezreal has been nerfed, has been hit with that huge nerf on Essence Flux. No longer has the attack speed debuff, but you know, I was wondering, you know, I think he's still a strong champion. I mean, the really bigger thing was, of course, especially on Crystal Scar, right? It's his mobility. He can jump over those walls. He's slippery. You never get to him. His damage is still going to come from Mystic Shot and his auto attacks. We'll see how it goes. I mean, his dueling capability has been nerfed to the ground with that nerf on the debuff, but I feel like that's not as crucial on the Crystal Scarf. One, because you don't see as many AD carries. You're not always going to be sitting there dueling. Usually it's also a lot of, I guess, AD casters. And someone else on your team will most likely have a Frozen Heart anyway, so you have some of that mitigation. And if you're dueling 1v1, I mean, you're in a little bit of trouble anyway already. You want to be that slippery guy, you want to kite, you want to be in the back lines, dishing out tons of damage. So I would say that's a pretty good pick by Point Defense. We have Rise and Pantheon coming out for Beware Tall Grass, followed by, are we going to see an Elise? I'm not
I doubt
sure.
it.
I don't know.
Unless they blink.
Yeah.
Oh, we blinked.
It's going to be an
Wait, that is a Sejuani.
Oh, the Sejuani. Yes, I was talking about the Elise, but the Sejuani did get locked in. I was going to get to that. But,
okay.
High People's picking up that Sejuani. So that's pretty exciting stuff. Pretty exciting stuff. And then we're looking at the next picks. But yeah, I was gonna talk about Elise if she gets picked, but she didn't get picked. I mean, I think Elise still needs some time to get figured out. I think she's pretty versatile, but based on what I've been hearing, I feel like her kit may not be the best for the Crystal Scar. But we are going to see Sejuani. I'm pretty excited about that. Sejuani does have that long range initiation, which is pretty devastating. And then just has some good disruption, I guess. You know, has, you know, slows on her basic attacks, can, you know, amplify the slow with Frostbite. There's a lot she can do, but oftentimes it's always been that same question, right? Can someone else do those things better? I mean, Amumu can offer the same, you know, nearly the same amount of initiation, same with Malphite, but those guys have been banned. So we are gonna see a Sejuani.
All right.
That's pretty exciting.
I'm seeing. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like the old favorites versus the new hotness here. All right, because on one hand we got Rise, who is like the original bottom laner and killed everybody. And we're seeing Pantheon, who was like ban him all the time because he's insane. And we're seeing Poppy. And Eulalia has shown us a million billion times why Poppy is a nightmare. And we're seeing Lulu, and I guess Lulu's a little bit new hotness. She's still a relatively new champion. But we're seeing like 3 members of the old guard of champs over there, and we look over at Point Defense's side, we're seeing Ezreal, who didn't really become popular until more recently in Dominion history. We're seeing Evelyn, who was like joke pick until Zabers realized he can hit people for half their health. And if you hit someone for half their health 2 times, they're probably dead unless Lulu did something to them, in which case they're not dead, and Eve runs away. We're seeing Pigga, who is non-standard. MMKH has to play Blitzcrank or he can't flowchart properly. And Necrogen's got Diana, which is also new hotness. So 3 champions that are relatively newer in Dominion meta, which is, you know, AP Eve, AD Israel, and, you know, bottom lane Diana. I'm expecting we'll see bottom lane Diana because Necro is a bottom lane player. And then, yeah, we got Blitzcrank and Pigga. And I like Sejuani because, like you said, Sejuani is a game of R key. She lands that Glacial Prison, then they get to set up the fight however they want. And people will clump up on Windmill because, I'm not going to lie, sometimes people don't know how to dodge skill shots. Oh, we're at the top, and then Pyroclasm happens, but usually you can see that coming because Brain has to get close, or Pillar of Flame happens, or Bandage Toss and Curse the Sad Mummy happens, and bad things, but those can be telegraphed pretty easily. There's no 2-step process to Sejuani's R. Glacial Prison just, bam, she throws it out and it happens. It's not like you have to get into a significant position to set up. All you have to do is get in range. It can come from anywhere, and then just bang. You are in a block of ice, but you aren't invulnerable, and they just come up there and set up the fight however they want, and they just start killing people. However, if you miss that R, now you're just a lady on a pig with a lamp on a stick, and you kind of flail it around a little bit, and you hope something gets close enough for you to hurt.
Pretty
That's
much.
why I'm at with Sejuani. Great HP soak though. She makes an excellent diver. So even if she does miss that R, if she kind of leads the charge on in, it's good. She'll soak up a lot of damage, and assuming that people actually want to hit her, or she'll just soak up the tower damage by hitting champions and stuff like that, while her team kind of like attacks people. She got slow, which is really good, but the fights usually she's not going to be one to chase usually, so the slow wouldn't come into play too much. But yeah, great HP soak, but it's really if she's not landing her R, she's not being effective. If she is landing her R, she's just fine. Kind of falls into the category of I think there's people that do the job better, but what I see here is everyone having AoE damage in a tight radius, and if you can get them stunned in that tight radius, it's going to help. It's going to help things like True Shot Barrage land. It's going to help things like Static Field land. It's going to help things like Diana's circly thing, her her
Moonfall
her
for
Castlevania
BTG.
Circle of the Moon, Crescent Strike.
Oh, Crescent Strike.
Yeah, that because that's an AoE that'll hit multiple people, right?
That is true. Yes, the
Yeah,
landing zone is a circle in and of itself, and of course it also has the crescent path. But yeah, I mean, like you said, also, I mean, if need be, Zabers can go in, like you said, with um, Star Wars Embrace and kind of set that up because everyone's going to get slowed from that. Guarantee a hit with Sejuani or vice versa. I mean, so much initiation possibility here. Or, Sejuani can ice them and then Blitz can just pick off the target they want. Lots and lots of possibilities here. So I think it's going to be exciting. I would have been even more beast if Diana was constantly up there, but of course I think Diana's going to be going bot lane here for point defense. So a darn shame that we can't even see more wombo combo-ness coming out from point defense, but it should still be a fun match to watch. But like you said, I mean, the other side, we have those champions that have been tested over time to be really good champions here on the Crystal Scar. We're also seeing Nunu being that last pick, so I'm not sure if Nunu's going to be going that bot lane or if it's still going to be Rise. Wouldn't be surprised to see Nunu go bottom, Rise go top. And then we do have, of course, Poppy's going to be that champion to go in and take out either Evelyn or Ezreal. Just zone in on them. That's their one mission to charge through with the diplomacy on her ultimate and kind of ignore everybody else. And I mean, Lulu should be good too. I mean, if they want to dive with Sejuani, Lulu's going to be able to mitigate a lot of that. But I think, like you said, it's going to be a game of R. If they land that, Glacial Prison, then not looking too good for Blue or Tall Grass.
yeah. And if Zabers, and like you're saying about Zabers and Poppy, if they can pick off the right people in between engagements, then that's also going to make it really hard. There's an extraordinarily high for precision plays with these two team comps that it's just going to be like very narrow executions. There are some champions that have a little bit of a broader ability to apply their damage, like Talon, for example. I mean, he can kind of jump in. He's got Rake, and he's got a really. It's sort of easy for Talon to get into a fight. However, with Eve and Poppy, I mean, you kind of have to be running in from an angle or something like that, and you kind of really have to dive through and worry about getting body blocked and things like that. Whereas anyone who has a blink or a jump, like Pantheon, Jax, Talon, Katarina, champions like those, that can sort of just kind of deposit them right in. It's a little bit easier. So when you have champions that have to walk up, it changes the dynamic a little bit. But the difference here, though, I think that until the Hextech sweepers get picked up, because I'd assume they get picked up because of it just being a good item and one there being an Eve on Point Defense's team, then Poppy can outright dive through Cupcake Lulu. I love Cupcake Lulu. Thank you, Kless. That's a cool skin to have. She turns someone into a delightful treat. And anyway, as I was saying before that happened, Poppy can just throw diplomacy down and dive through the entire fight and force Ezreal out for a little while. Whereas Eve lures you into a false sense of security and then someone explodes in a fine pink mist. So, or mechanical mist if it was a Blitzcrank. Something like that. You know what I mean. She's a good burst assassin. She'll kill people.
Pretty much. I mean, even after the nerfs to her own ultimate and also the Deathfire Grasp, I think she's still pretty powerful. The element of surprise is still there. You can still build up some good AP. Of course, it's not going to be as terrorizing. I mean, before it was you didn't need any other AP. You just needed Deathfire's Grasp, and then you use your ultimate, you use Deathfire Grasp, and then poof, they're gone. But there's going to be a little bit more work involved, but still a pretty good champion. You talked about Cupcake Lulu. It's always exciting to see her cast Whimsy on a large model champion such as a fully stacked Cho'Gath, because the cupcake is somewhat bigger. It's like a relatively bigger cupcake bouncing around. It's pretty
Ooh.
entertaining to watch. But don't see it too often, mostly because not that many people have that skin. And I think it's
No, they
because
don't.
to be honest, the splash art is a little bit on the creepy side, but in game it's like really fun because it's cupcakes. So you have a little bit of a trade off there.
Sejuani should turn into two cupcakes.
That would be that'd be pretty entertaining. We're just waiting. I'm still stuck here on the summoning screen, so hopefully all is
Oh,
well.
I have an message from Feedsky. He's Feedsky wants everyone who's watching the stream and is online to know that his internet is misbehaving on him. So he's had some issues with disconnecting, not being able to get back on. He knows that some people have questions regarding tourney related things, but he can't answer them at the moment because his internet is freaking out. So he'll be back on as soon as he can get it adjusted. Until then, if you have any tourney questions, you can direct them to Toodles and Oni Snake. They're the admins for Dominate Dominion. If they're on, you can shoot them their way, and they might be able to help you out. So, end of
End
announcement.
of
Yes, that's all I
PSA
got.
right there. All right, so we are in on the blue side. We're gonna have point defense. We have Sauron on Ezreal, Zabers on Evelyn, High Peoples on Sejuani, MMKH on Blitzcrank, and Necrogen on Diana. They're going to be playing here, as you see on the screen from the left side. I am Chobra, one of your casters tonight, joined by Gander. Who do we have on the other side?
On the other side, we have Stormfallen playing as Tribal Rise. We have Zenthian with that Full Metal Pantheon. We have Kless as Bittersweet, aka Cupcake Lulu. We have Orphane with Scarlet Hammer Poppy and Jigglypuff playing as Nunu, and their powers combined make Beware Tall Grass. My computer might take a second to load in this game because it is a ye olde backup computer, so just a heads up there, Chobra, but it seemed to work okay last game.
I think we should be just fine, and we're going to see a standard start. It seems Diana, in fact, going to be going bot. Ezreal just shooting out that laser beam, spamming that like none other, Sauron. And it's going to be Nunu versus Diana going bot lane, so we are going to see Rise going top. With the rest of the team here from Dora Tallgrass. It's going to be Poppy who's going to be picking up the drill, has that speed buff, so should be able to catch up, no problem. It's going to be Evelyn on the other side, also kind of has the same mechanic, able to boost back up towards the windmill, and it's no one's going to get caught as they go up to the windmill, so it's going to be pretty standard. They're just going to poke back and forth. MMKH is definitely going to wait until Evelyn shows up, and then we might see a surprise grab because Kless is leaning pretty far forward to put in that harass poke. MMKH is going to get the grab. It's going to go down to Stormfall and knock up Hate Spike. So much damage, instantly bursts down by Zabers on Evelyn, but Orphane's going to come in, pick up a counter kill onto MMKH. Orphane's still running pretty low. Two people exhausted, one on each side, but it's going to be a double kill for Zabers. Zabers has still not been targeted that much. It's a triple kill for Evelyn up at the windmill already. We're only 2 minutes into the game. Clash is now all alone. Whimsy's pour Ezreal into a cupcake, but Zabers is going to put out some good damage, and then Sauron's going to come back out into human form, pick up a kill, and MMKH with another good grab, just distracting Stormfall. Meanwhile, Orphane tries to pick up a kill onto Zabers, but Zabers kites back and forth alongside Sauron. They're putting out some good damage. Orphane needs to run away. Zenthian gets the stun onto Sauron. He needs to run back, though, and Orphane now caught in between the enemy team. Sauron eventually going to go down to a final overload from Stormfallen, but it's still not looking too good for Blue Tall Grass because revives have not been popped yet for +5, and we're finally going to see Blitzcrank also go down. Ezreal's on his way back up with that revive. A double kill for Zenthian. Can point defense react quick enough to come back up top. I think they're actually just going to sacrifice it. Zaber's finally uses a revive, and Zention's now zoning out Sauron, who just came back up with his revive. Zention's running pretty low. If Sauron can pick up this kill and also stop Stormfallen from channeling that, they might have a chance, but no, they're just going to have to give up the windmill to Beware Tall Grass. Can they maybe get the kills here and then retake the tower? I don't know. Zaber's charges in all alone. Sauron's Embrace does give him that shield, and Zention might go down. Oh, True Shot Barrage barely missing Zention. Zention's still alive. Orphane is now charging through, and Point Defense is forced to back out. Good try on picking up 2 kills there at the end after the tower's been captured, but Point Defense has been chased away by Beware Tall Grass.
MKH coming up to the top of the map, goes for a grab, grabs Orphane, but not Kless. Kless is probably who he wanted there, and low on mana. Lulu's not going to be able to do a lot to contribute to this fight. High Peoples goes in there, spraying a little bit of damage around. Sauron in to the fight as well, and Point Defense really just kind of attacking this really effectively up the top. They caught 2 people, one low on mana, and this deals the R, but the R doesn't catch anything. Swung not able to land that stun. Now Stormfallen trying to get trying to get Sauron down there, but Sauron is able to back off a little bit. Orphane has the diplomatic immunity on. MMKH is looking around for Sauron, just like you had predicted there, Chobra, putting down the diplomatic immunity, diving in to try and find the carry and kill them. But the carry was nowhere to be found. And what's going to happen to Poppy over here? Zabers opens up immediately once seeing her. Orphane trying to run away. Now Poppy is pretty quick. Zabers going to be able to keep up, or is Poppy going to slowly get chipped down? Orphane is running away, tags that speed shrine, and Zabers not taking the bait. Good play, Zabers. Zabers has played Dominion a few times to smell what the Poppy was kiting.
Yeah, definitely very, very good decision making by Zabers. Still sticking around though. They want to go for the gank while they're here. And Diana jumps in. There's the Moonfall. Ezreal jumps over the wall. So much damage going down to Julie the Puff. Julie the Puff just trying to delay as long as possible. Would that consume? It's 3 people down here at the Boneyard. They're going to get the neutralize for sure. Can they get the capture to get the objective buff? I'm not sure. Stormfallen gets delayed by Necrogen. Necrogen now trying to keep both of them busy. True Shot Barrage misses once again, but Zara's Embrace does not. Necrogen is still alive. Orphane goes down. So much damage already by Necrogen alone, and then Zabers chasing up, and Sauron kiting from the back. Sauron really playing the way you have to with Ezreal, especially now that you can't duel as well with that Essence Flux. Very, very well played. Boneyard goes in favor of Point Defense. They now have a 4-to-1 cap with that buff, so that they have some extra damage here on the Crystal Scar for the time being.
And Zabers just hanging around over by that speed shrine. He's looking for someone to destroy. MKH is going to find himself a Lulu, pop the airborne, but Zabers has already retreated off in the other direction, heading down towards the bottom lane. Wants to try and help out his team down there. And you see the majority of the action looks like it's going to start forming up over there. There's an engagement over at the core, or the Boneyard, excuse me, as Necrogen gets to stand out a little bit away from his team. He's trying to get rid of Rise, and they are able to get Rise down. Pantheon falls shortly thereafter. Nunu as well. Point Defense sweeps that bottom lane, not losing anyone in that exchange.
Poppy saw that there was no chance to join the team fight, ran straight for the refinery. I think Poppy's going to get the neutralize, but definitely not the capture. Diana's zoning in, and then MMKH is coming up from the base. I don't know if the Crescent Strike connected. Let's look at the cooldown. Diana does still have Lunar Rush, can finish off the kill. There's the Diplomatic Immunity, but not onto the person you want, because of course damage is coming out from Necrogen. I guess so if Orphane put it on Sejuani, Orphane would just be slowed to death. So really had no choice there. Sauron, meanwhile, taunting the enemy with that laser beam, or the holographic beam, really. It's not a laser. But Julie the Puff is going to get caught by the Crescent Strike. The grab is not going to hit. They're going to get into the base just fine. So no real danger. But Stormfallen gets caught way out of position. Zabers is going to keep chasing. MK just going up with Overdrive. Crescent Strike not going to connect, but still going to jump through with Lunar Rush. And another kill for Zabers. Point Defense is just doing work across the map.
And with long distance interrupt right there, Sauron is able to delay that point a little bit longer. Necrogen, you see him diving in for it. He wants to be able to get back there to be able to deal with Zenthian if Zenthian tries to cap, and he is able to connect. Julie the Puff has the benefit of Lulu's assistance right there, keeping him alive and up on hit points for a little bit longer, although they do chase Lulu down and are able to defeat her. Jiggly the Puff, though, not quite able to make a lot out of that. Was alive a little bit longer. Thank you to Lulu for that, but didn't really have any damage to throw down to keep that from going a little bit differently. Although, who else would Lulu have put that buff on in that situation. I mean, there really wasn't a better target option for it. Now, Orphane trying to defend the drill is not going to be able to do so, and then Pantheon coming down is able to get them away from the point, but there goes the Glacial Prison right there, like we were talking about before the game, catching all three of them in a nice, tight little area. Now Zaber's trying to get Kless down, but that Glitter Lance is going to reveal him, and he's going to get slowly away and get away. It looks like they are going to be able to successfully defend the drill, and they do have some time left to pick up a couple of other points and get things turning around, but it's getting worse by the second.
Yep, and Necrogen is hiding here at the Boneyard right out of vision, as you can see. They don't see him there, so they have no idea he's still guarding it. He just picks up the health relic, gonna sustain there in case anyone tries to capture that Boneyard. But we're gonna see Jigglypuff and Stormfall actually go around. I think they sniff something. They're gonna go for Sour and they see him, but Zabers is gonna come up from behind. This isn't looking too good. And the blink over the wall. Zabers now catches Stormfall and Jigglypuff completely confused across the wall, and they get separated. Oh, poor Nunu just ditched his friend by accident, and Jigglypuff now has to run away. A double kill for Zabers. Very well played by Point Defense. They're just absolutely dominating. Meanwhile, top MKH and High People's doing work. They get one kill, and as soon as this immunity runs off, there comes the slows. Orphane not going to be going anywhere. MKH chasing through. There's the grab. Another kill of MKH picking up that second one. Point Defense really doing work everywhere, and I'm very surprised that High Peoples and MKH are able to hold their ground against damage dealers up at the top. You know, they're just really using their tankiness to assist them by surviving longer to put out the damage. Of course, we do have Blitzcrank with the Hex Drinker and the Man Immune for some early damage right there.
And see, Lulu's got that Hextech Sweeper, so she's helping her team out a lot. High People's getting caught by Kless and Zenthian and turned into one cupcake, not two, as High People's falls back, the exhaust gets thrown down, and Glitter Lance as well, determined to make sure High People's tries to move backwards when he tries to go anywhere. Kless and Zenthian, I think, are going to be able to turn around that point just fine, as there's no one up there to contest it. However, in the bottom lane, though, a little bit of a prolonged engagement. Skill shot from Sauron does not connect, but it looks like it was aimed for the top more than anything else, and it's only able to disrupt Lulu, not Pantheon, so they are still going to be able to secure the point there. Orphane had retreated towards the opposite side of the map, which is exactly where you'd want to, where you'd think that they wouldn't go, and is going to use that, hey, I'm over here, to try and backcap the refinery. And High Peoples is alive, and seeing that, Poppy is going to turn around. MKH and Zabers up at the top, trying to position for an attack, but stealth does not work under towers that are owned by the enemy or neutral. MKH gets airborne, Kless gets airborne, Zabers able to pick up the kill on Kless, cutting them straight back into High Peoples, into the stun. Great Glacial Prison by High Peoples right there, and now Orphane is in a lot of trouble. Zabers tries to get in, but gets stunned by Zenthian. Zenthian saving his ally there. Poppy running around back behind the windmill, going to pick up that health relic. What is Orphane going to do in this position? Zabers comes around, and Orphane is able to deliver some damage. High Peoples with the dash goes over the wall. Orphane turns around, goes in for MKH, is able to get the delay a little bit there, and buy them a few extra seconds, but now I don't think they've got. They were at a good spot right there when they had that point, but they had it turned around on them by an excellent Glacial Prison from High People's Shizwani, and now they really don't have an opportunity to pick up the two towers they will need to stop the clock.
Yeah, I mean, that was just really good play. And again, High Peoples is going to run into two people, but look at, like you said, really, really good damage. So look at that. No damage coming out from the overloads. Meanwhile, bottom, Necrogen finally going to get shut down. Sauron turned into a cupcake. There's a diplomatic immunity. Orphane trying to chase through. Has been exhausted, but a good blink over the wall is just going to put him right in the face of Jigglypuff. But it's not going to matter because the clock is run out. A great True Sharp Barrage right on time to hit that Nexus Crystal and celebrate the victory for Point